Ladies and gentlemen, I have Aida in the house, in the room. She's an amazing, funny comedian. She's got her own show on Netflix, so make sure you check that out. She's been a great girlfriend, and I love her so much. She's been traveling all day, and she still made it her business to be here for me. And I love that because you know what? That's what the show is about,
Yeah.
authenticity and community. And I'm so happy to have you here, sweetheart.
I'm very happy to be here. And you said community, which sometimes feels lacking in this town, especially
Yes.
with many of us who are like artists and of a different ilk. Like we came here because we
Yes.
love the art, but, we don't, we just,
That's why I decided to do this podcast right there.
mm-hmm.
And let me pause you so that I can read this intro so that you could see how much we're in sync right now. Hello and welcome to the Officially Fly podcast. I am your host, Josie Harris, original Fly Girl, legendary dancer, and esteemed acting coach. As a God-fearing Afro-Latina, boy mom, dog lover, and multi-hyphenate working in this crazy entertainment business, I often find myself searching for authenticity and community. Officially Fly is not just a lifestyle brand, it's a movement. So I would love to invite you to embark on a spiritually enriching journey uncovering heartwarming stories by extraordinary people. My mission is to inspire you to drop into your fly essence because when you shine, we shine. Officially Fly, curating excellence, highlighting remarkable souls and their exceptional treasures. Ooh, so fly. It's official. Welcome to Officially Fly. Welcome, my
That's great. That's a
Ida.
beautiful intro.
Yes, thank you, sweetheart.
I was
You
rocking to it.
okay? You's rocket to it. That's right. Thank you for being here. It means so much.
Thank you
And
for having me.
yeah, we were just talking about community and how we often don't feel like we have community or where is the
Yeah.
community. And this is why I wanted to create this space because I wanted to be able to have my friends come and really talk about what is community today? What is community for you?
Wow, community. I can't help but to get, how I get when I start talking
I do, but
about these things.
yes, but that's what we're here for. So share your heart.
So the
Speak
thing
your
is,
mind.
we are a village people, right? And that was one of the things that was taken from us immediately,
Right.
during colonization because community is village. It's us taking care of our parents and our grandparents taking care of the children. And it's just this cycle of life. And so it feels, and I think all people, not just people of color, all people started
Okay.
off as village people.
Right.
Well, so the thing is, it feels when you're tapped in, to your spiritual self, your God, and all of that, it doesn't feel, it feels alone when you're not
Yes.
going with your community, your tribe, your village.
Yes.
And some people have convinced themselves that they don't need anybody and that they can do it on their own and they connect to this machine that sucks out their life force, but it's not real. It's just not. It's almost impossible to go alone,
Yes.
right? Because
Yeah.
there's just I don't know how you do that.
How? Yeah.
Yeah, that's narcissism.
Yeah,
that do it.
that's totally at its best.
Right. But so for me, community is everything. It's about, my company is about having people that are younger and people that are older and everybody servicing one another. And the goal is not to get rich. Of course, we got to live, not to be famous, but to create stories and content that show us in our best light. And the best way to do that is when everybody's tapped in.
That's right, right? Because it really takes a village. You're not alone, and that's crazy to think. I've traveled alone at times, so that's what happened to me. Either actually, it reminds me that. So there was a time not that long ago where I decided that I wanted to not just be an acting coach because I was kind of doing me kind of by myself. I own my acting academies, and so the work was coming to me, and I was doing sort of life according to Josie. You know, I'd work with my clients all day, and I really reached a place where, because community is so important to me, because family is important to me, because tribe is important to me, I realized that that was what was missing. That I was so busy, you know, running and, you know, making my money and, you know, just, you know, building, you know, just working so hard to build, you know, to have a place and a space and a voice in this business.
Yeah.
But I realized that I began to realize that there was something missing, and I was so unfulfilled. And so I decided that I wanted to actually work with other creatives. So I started sort of pushing and asking about dialogue coaching, which is, you know, that sort of next step for me. I've been, you know, I've had the wonderful opportunity to work on sets. But once I started working on set, I realized, like, that's what it is. Like, I need community. I need to be around other people and create. I don't think that we're meant to do it by ourselves. I mean, even if we could, I just don't think that that's how it's designed.
Yeah, you know, I really feel like, for me, I go through these moments in my life where I go through I regenerate, and I start from scratch again.
Recalibrate, right?
Yeah, but I start from scratch.
Right.
Like, I go all the way in, and, you know, like, I wrote and produced and directed some comedy specials last year for HBO,
Good.
which was a different muscle for me, being on the other side of the camera. And I was like, oh, I like doing all of this stuff. It's not just, for me, it's about really getting the stories out there and, you know, making sure legacy, like we're leaving good
100%.
stories behind, not just the pop culture foolishness that dominates.
The straight foolishness.
Yeah, it's just the McDonald's of art.
Right.
And, you know.
I love it.
You know what I mean? And
I
the
love
people,
it.
like, get really caught up in it. And we allow the comment section to determine.
We sure do.
You know what I mean? People are so, like, artists won't go away. Right. They're like, here's another song, and here's this, and, oh, look, I did it. And you got to go away and recreate. Yeah. That's what Michael Jackson did, and Janet Jackson did.
That's right.
We would wait and see, what is Janet Jackson going to look like this time? You know?
We waited in anticipation to see what else was going to happen.
And it's a really, the speed that is so hard to keep up with, because you can't, because what you're really racing against is an algorithm. It's a computer. It really isn't even generated by the people.
Right.
But a lot of people are
caught up,
not thinking for themselves.
That's what it's designed to do, though, right? To not have you think for yourself. That's the whole point. And so, I mean, commercials are getting faster. Everything. I mean, even I've noticed it very much so in scripts as I'm working on film and television. The scenes are getting shorter and shorter.
They want the scenes to be shorter.
You know, everything is being affected by this new way.
They even have their AI, you know, like, where some of the scenes are, or people are acting alone, and then they put the scenes together.
That's crazy.
A friend of mine who's an editor is like, they weren't even in the same city.
Room.
Yeah. But, you know, so I've been going through this moment because I was feeling very unfulfilled. And
when did this start for you? That feeling?
It started in, I think when I wrote the book, I was like, you know, I have a special on Netflix, one on Showtime, and two on HBO.
Wow.
And I'm still, like, feeling like I still am at the bottom of the food chain, if you will, because my comedy isn't McDonald's, you know? And not to disrespect anybody, but I'm never going to make people of color look bad. Nope. This is not women. Yep. I mean, I feel like the low common denominator comedy is cool it's for the pop culture consumers. It's not for, like, the real comedy connoisseurs, like the people who love Red Fox and you know, Richard Pryor and George Carlin, and those people. If you listen to people and you ask, like, 10 people who are your favorite comedians, those names always come up. Yeah. So it says something about comedy and its evolution when they're still saying George Carlin, and they got 10,000 comedians out today.
Absolutely.
So for me, it's just like I just remember just feeling empty and saying, what do I have to do to feel reconnected? You know, like the tree in Avatar. Like I want to get connected back to the life force. Because it's just been, I feel like I'm an artist to my soul. I can go sit on an island and go write and go create and all day long. And I don't do it for the same reason.
Be happy.
Because I express myself through it. It's for, you know, the money is just a byproduct and we got to live. But
it's a means to an end.
But it doesn't feed the work. And so I was like, I have to get connected to some other artists. And I went to see Lauryn Hill.
She's incredible.
A couple of weeks ago. I was like, oh, this is the kind of artist that resonates with me. Like,
and why was that?
Because she really cares about what she does. It is to perform a whole concert based on an album that came out 25 years ago. I mean, and look in that audience, it was the girl sitting next to me was white and maybe 17 years old.
Yeah.
And the people to my right were Mexican and in their 30s.
Timeless. That's timeless
art. Everybody in there was rocking. Like, when I tell you the whole... I went to Ontario to go see her.
I know.
And I was like, this is a real artist.
Yes.
And, you know, you can feel every part of what she's feeling in her music, you know. I would say genius, you know. And I was just like, oh, this is it right here. I'm not in here for that.
Yeah.
You know, I ain't nobody's clown.
Right. Yeah. No, she's an incredible artist. She's a great one to use as an example of how we have to just stay true to who we are. And she's always been that. And we've seen her go through it because she's been so true to who she is and so vulnerable. Yeah. And just happy to see her back.
Me too.
You know,
me too.
She's phenomenal. All right, I want to get into this book a little bit. Okay. It was so good. I love Ariana DeBose's
that's my girl.
Opening act, opening sort of commentary on you. I felt like she was saying everything I would say about you.
Oh,
literally.
Appreciate that.
You're funny as I don't know what. I've loved coming to see you over the years and watching you grow and watching you do your thing. But what I love the most about you is you empower me to use my voice. You really do.
Well, good. Thank you.
I really want to say that. And I've been waiting to say it, here, because I want you to get your flowers, because I've been really blessed to have an amazing, career and journey. And I feel like I'm really just getting started, right?
Yeah,
like
that's
I'm
right.
Just getting started. But you were one of those voices for me that really helped me to own mine. And I've never shared that with you.
Thank you.
And you continue. I love what you're about. I love how you know what you're talking about when you talk it. Because a lot of people talking, they sound real smart, but they're not saying nothing. They're not saying anything at all. And so I feel so much, like I swear, I feel like you shared so much in this book. You were so vulnerable, so many wonderful characters. There's a movie here. There's a movie here, and I hope that that's what you're working toward.
Kind of.
At this pitch meeting you were at earlier today, because there's such a movie here. I think that this story needs to be told. You did it so well, all the details. I felt like it was my family. I felt like I was right there. And that's hard to do.
It is.
That's hard to do. How long did it take you to write this book? And I know why you called it Legitimate Kid, but tell us a little bit about how long it took you and how did you get to that title?
So I started writing the book. So it's a collection of essays. So I wrote some of those essays maybe 8 years ago. Okay. And then some of those are as new as right before the book came out. I think I got my book deal before my comedy special, I think right around that time.
Okay.
That my HBO special. So when I went to the Dominican Republic to do my documentary about my father.
Yes.
That's when I came back and I was like, I know where I'm going to take this book, and it's going to be an accompaniment to the comedy special and the documentary. The three of them go together.
Nice. So smart.
So legitimate kid comes from the idea of when I was a kid, and kids played a dozen. Somebody called me a bastard because I didn't have my father's last name,
Right.
and I was really young, and I was very affected by it because when I asked my mother what it meant, she was like, "Oh, a bastard is a kid that their father didn't sign their birth certificate." She never even, it didn't dawn on her that she was talking to me. And then, God sent me on a journey of feeling less than. Because what happens in poor communities is that people find something to focus on somebody else so that they can make themselves feel better about themselves. Because in my community, we were all poor.
Yeah, it's survival of the fittest, right? Right? It's concrete jungle, better figure it out all day, or else. Or else
you fight, and
that's right.
There was some of that too. But when that girl called me a bastard, it sent me off on this journey. And it was
a good thing then.
My quest for legitimacy.
It's a good thing. That's
right.
Right.
But it was a lot of twists and turns, and in me searching for that legitimacy, it showed up in my relationships, my familial relationships, romantic relationships. And I know there are a lot of people that feel that way. And it's like I remember my driver in New York was taking me to the airport, was a white guy from Staten Island. And he was a product of an affair. And he knew where his father lived, and he used to drive by, but he never ever met his father. And he was like, I read your book, and I'm going to go meet my dad.
Wow.
And I was like, those universal themes that all people experience, And so it was just that search for legitimacy. And for some people, it's validation. For some of it, it's all of that stuff.
In different forms, right?
Yes.
Yeah, different colors. Yeah.
And if you don't see about it, it will show up. If you don't tend to the scars of the child in you, that child would disrupt your life until you leave here. Yeah. So you have to tend to those scars.
Yeah. You have to talk to that little, that little girl in you. I know all about it. Being born and raised in Harlem, born half African American, half Latina, Puerto Rican. So I feel like I definitely felt it.
Oh yeah.
Just even within my family, which you talk about often. Okay. And so let's talk about that. How has it been for you just growing up? In the book, you say at first you didn't even really play too much into your Dominican side. How was that for you? And how did that affect you growing up mixed?
People are dumb. And the stuff we focus on, because a lot of people, we're always like, people of color as a result of colonization and all this stuff. I went to Ireland last year, and we were in Dublin, and so we were going to Belfast because I'm a Game of Thrones head, right? And I was like, I'm going to the studio, and they were like, oh, you can't go to Belfast because Belfast and the North and the South has beef.
Right. It's like the Crips, the blood of the Crips out there.
And I was like, oh, people are dumb all over the world. Right. Like, it's all a global thing, right? And then, and then I have a friend who's Italian and was talking about the Sicilians. And so with the Puerto Ricans and Dominicans, there's always this thing of,
always.
And the funny thing is one of the white girls that worked on the production of my special was like, y'all kind of the same to me. Like, what's the difference? Because she doesn't speak Spanish. And I was like, no, we speak differently. We have different music. She was like, y'all look the same to me. It was
you could not convince her.
It was amazing.
We were the same. But we are the same.
We really are. And, it's going to take like aliens to come to the world and start wreaking havoc for us to be like, oh my God, we're people. We got to stick together.
Right.
And, but anyway, being told, I grew up in a very Latino community in Miami. And in New York, when we were in the Bronx, it was very Puerto Rican.
Exactly.
Right? It wasn't the Dominicans.
But in Miami, it's more Dominican, right?
Well, in Miami, it's
Cuban.
But a lot more Dominicans too, because the Puerto Ricans are like in Orlando and Central Florida. But I was always told, like, don't tell nobody you're not that. You Puerto Rican. That's it. Your father is not here. You are Puerto Rican. Right. And that makes you feel bad about, because you don't know if they don't, if nobody's explaining to you where this beef is coming from. I'm Dominican, so I start feeling like part of me is there's something wrong with me, so I start hiding it, and then it was just ridiculous.
Yeah.
It was very ridiculous.
How did you hide it?
I just never claimed it.
So you just never claimed it at all?
No, because I had no ties to my Dominican side. I was
you.
always with my Puerto Rican family.
But did you feel a connection to?
No, I felt different,
and I just felt different.
And maybe I did feel a connection, but it was suppressed by just not being told. And it was funny because when I would dance merengue, people would say she dances like a Dominican, and my uncles would say it's in her blood, and my mom would be like, "Stop doing that!" Like so bad at my dad. It didn't even have anything to do with Dominicans.
Nothing
it was
at all.
really about my father.
That's how we do.
Yeah, and it was so I grew up super Puerto Rican, and I've embraced my Dominicanness, and I'm proud of it, and I claim it. But to say that it's that I naturally, Dominicans are always telling me, yeah, you sound like a Puerto Rican, and I'm like, it was my mom. That's who I was.
You
with.
were born and raised with your mother, so absolutely. So there's so many things about this book. I mean, there's so many chapters that I love. But one of them that sticks out is obviously the story of you and your father. How is that relationship?
I'm still processing that.
Yeah.
One thing I refuse to allow myself to do is to get coerced into creating a fake relationship with my father because we found each other and try to pretend like, oh, I'm his dad. That's my daddy. Like it would be disingenuous for me to do that. Right. We're getting to know each other and it's taking time, and that's it, And the best we can be, he's my father and I love him and we'll have a relationship from now on. But I'm not going to act like we're, it's been turbulent. He has a whole bunch of other kids.
Wow.
They all grew up with him. They call him Papi. I don't call him that, And it's very different. It's it feels weird. I just had a conversation with him a couple of weeks ago, and we really laughed together, and it felt good to just have this.
That's good.
But I
don't
know him like that.
I was just going to say, you don't. You really don't. And, you've got to protect your heart, and you guys have to get to learn each other. How are you feeling about your mom?
Yeah, I love my mom. I had to learn a lot about my mother. When I interviewed my mother for this book, I learned a lot about her and her experience. And I urge you younger people who are on TikTok talking smack about your parents to just do an exercise one day and sit down and just take it for a minute. Imagine them being children with the parents they had and the tools that they had, and just give them that grace for a minute. Because I just look at my mom, even now I can still see the little girl in her that never had a chance to really grow up. And I would never be able to survive what my mother went through. I don't think so. I think I probably would have jumped off a building, knowing the things and the abuse that my mother endured as a child and as a young woman. I have nothing but respect for her, and you have a very big significance in my life. And I was obsessed with you because I didn't see Afro-Latinas. It was, before us, it was Irene Cara.
Yes.
Right?
Say it.
Having an abortion in fame. Okay. Right?
Why?
Right. But it was hardship and struggle. And then, just, I don't remember, and then knowing you and knowing about you and seeing you, I was like, we used to idolize you. Like my cousin and I
just crazy
used to be like, you and that remember the Time video, That's the Way Love Goes, which are blonde hair. That was what was determining what we were looking like. That's what we were following. We were like, those the genes right there.
I love you for that, sweetheart.
Yeah, big impact.
So I see you trying to put it on me, but this podcast is about you. So let's get back to you. How's it going? You being on Netflix and having your own show and shows. How's that feel for you?
It feels good, but like I said, this capitalism thing that's just sped up and is driving us, it makes you feel like you're not doing enough, or you have to always work and you got to keep going. So I've been learning how to take a break.
Yeah, good.
And stop so I can really create good art.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't think you can help but create good art. What what would you tell your kids today, Ida, about your journey? Anything that you would have done differently?
My daughter and I had a conversation this weekend about it. You know, I have regrets. I when I hear people say I have no regrets, I admire that. Sometimes I question it because I think it's just human nature that some things that caused you pain. I don't regret my children. I would
Right.
do that all over
Amen.
again.
Amen.
And but in spite of what happened, I would do that all over again. But there are quite a few things that I would do. You know, I had an opportunity to go model in Milan, and I didn't go because I didn't want to leave my son.
Right.
And nobody ever instilled in me that there was a possibility that I could take him with me, that I would be in an income bracket that would provide for me to have my
Right.
son with me, because I didn't think beyond the prison that I was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
And also I was letting a man tell me that that was not that would make me a bad mother. You know, there were a lot of things that I would do different, and I don't know if it's about regrets, but if you have the opportunity to redirect yourself and avoid pain and hardship and things that happen to you, why wouldn't I?
That's right.
You know, I think
That's
it's real, like, it's real hoity-toity to say I have no regrets,
Yes.
everything.
That's crazy.
But there are some
That's
things.
crazy.
There are some people I would not know today.
Okay,
If I
how
had
about
the
that?
opportunity
That
to
part.
keep walking and be like, yo,
Yeah.
I would.
Right.
Yes, absolutely,
Yes,
I would.
absolutely. I think about when I read your book, like you've been everything. You were a model. You were an assistant manager for an independent label. You were a travel agent. I mean,
Yeah.
you have done it all.
Surviving.
Survival of the fittest. I mean, to the upteenth degree. If there was something else you could be doing, what else would that be?
I only wanted to be an artist since I was a little kid, right? I used to put a towel on my head and grab the broomstick, and I've always wanted to be an entertainer. I used to an actress. The first script I wrote, I was like 13 years old.
Wow.
You know, I've only wanted to do the arts. But if I always said that at some point in my life I would teach. I love children, and I love to see
What would you
them.
teach? What subject? You mean teach like
I would
at a
teach.
school?
I would teach little kids.
I love that.
Yeah, I would
I
teach
love that.
somewhere, and I love to see the exploration in children and to see their wheels turning. And at one point I thought I wanted to be a lawyer, because I feel like a lawyer and a stand-up comedian, like a lawyer, stand-up comedian, and a pastor, they all pretty much, they're just doing the same thing in different arenas.
Oh my goodness.
But
Hilarious.
yeah, I always said that I would do those things. I remember having a lot of jobs. I started working when I was a little kid,
Yeah.
and
Your resume is incredible.
the jobs were all part of the experiences that I use in my stand up now. I was a terrible bank teller. I was like, I never ever balanced. I think that when I would balance, the teller line would clap, because they were like, she
Hilarious.
balanced today. I was awful. I was a terrible bank teller. Travel agent was very short lived.
I see you being a good travel agent though.
Yeah, but I just wanted to travel. The only reason I was a travel agent was because I could get discounts. But when it came to other people's reservations and stuff, I messed up people's stuff, which is probably why I got fired.
Hilarious.
But, if I had an opportunity to teach, I would do it.
Is there any advice you would give to an upcoming comedian?
Yeah, I always say don't quit. I always tell younger comedians, go as you, because you are going to eventually show up anyway. So your imitation of if your favorite comedian doesn't make you a comedian, it just makes you, a fan.
Love it.
And I feel like if you really love the craft, then you will pour into it. If you do it to get famous,
Absolutely.
you'll be over there with the McDonald's people.
Yeah. Yeah. I want to ask you this question, and it's what is your legacy that you want to leave?
For me, it's about uplifting, creating stories about the strength of the human spirit, to create, to do the storytelling that lives on through me, that my grandfather, my great grandfather, because I had the privilege of spending time with my great grandfather. For me, it's about creating solidarity and unity. And it sounds corny to people now, but trying to find the inroads to what creates peace and unity with people. I feel like the darkness is kind of catchy according to social media, but I don't really believe that. I believe that innately most people want the same things.
Yeah.
And
I
for
agree.
me, for me, I'm like, as Dame Dash would say, I put it on my last name. And
Love it.
that name that I was so ashamed of because I was illegitimate as a kid,
Let's go.
for me, it's about understanding how proud I am of it now and letting that name carry on. Because Rodriguez was one of the biggest colonizers from Spain. And so that name had this legacy of being, hard and brute force. So I'm gonna take the name and I'm gonna own it.
And you're gonna do good by it.
Yeah, and give it a different legacy
I love that.
that is filled with love and acceptance and unity and not brute force.
That's right. That's right. Well, wow. I'm gonna end on that because that's a great way to end. And if anybody can do it, it is you, my sis. I love you so much.
Love you back. Congratulations on your show.
Thank you so much. I can't wait to hear more about your podcast, your show.
You got to come do the podcast.
Look, just tell me when I'm going to be there.
You gotta come do it.
Absolutely. But I'm just so excited. Netflix, Showtime. If you guys are not knowing, now you're knowing. Aida Rodriguez. Make sure that you pick up Legitimate Kid. I promise you, you will love this book. I'm going to close us out with this thought. As I continue to grow, being fly is an ever-evolving concept. So my question to you is, what does being fly mean to you in this moment? And I mean in this moment, in the now. And what does it mean to you in this season, if you're in a season? What does it mean? Because being fly, it walks and talks to me daily. Hope you've enjoyed the show. I'm Josie, and I'm out. Peace.